So you want to move? Oh, we're
Sorry.
recording? I didn't know that.
Oh, we just do it for the club people that can't make it. So sorry.
Okay, please let me know next time. That's good. Thank you. Let me say got it here. Okay, that's the idea. And we'll see more of these as we go. Okay, the quality of light is as important in any kind of technique as it is in straight photography. Late in the afternoon, early morning first light, and that light is low contrast. I like light at the edges of the horizon because it's not too contrasty yet. You can use it. And all the contrast is not as much. So you see detail in these dark shadow areas where when the contrast gets too great, they turn black as we could expect. I was trying to replicate a color pencil drawing. That was my idea. Just pushed it way up, brought the whites way up, gave it that thin kind of a pencil sketch kind of a look. And that's what's happening here. You can reinterpret the work. I mean, there are no rules. It's got to look any certain way. It's all up to you how an image looks these days. It's wide open, in my opinion. Okay, this is cool. You may not see this where you are, but you might. It's called island light. It's fantastic. It's two direct light sources. We have one sun. How's that possible? Because we have the fireball, number one, hitting the subject up here directly. And then there's the bounce light off the water. So what's called island light. Bounce light off the water comes in this way and back up to give it this glow down here. Notice it's different. Quality of light here is not the same as the quality down here. It's direct sunlight, that's bounce light. So it's a wonderful thing when you see that two light sources is with water bouncing the lights. It's very beautiful to see that happen. So I look for that. Camera movement. Okay, what does that mean? Do you do straight up, straight sideways? Is it all? How much flexibility is there? There's as much as you want. In this case, the movement rather than a straight line is kind of a swipe. This is a move right here. See it? It's like a quick, just like that. Shoot and do that. And it just colors everything. It's all through a thousand of them in here. And you get this really neat, unphotographic looking, kind of a photograph look. And what makes this work even a little bit better, in my opinion, is quality of light. Notice the front where the sun is a warm light, and back further into the forest where it's getting shade, we get blue light. The juxtaposition of warm and cool is one of the things that I look for. Opposites, red, blue, hot, cold, big, small, warm, cool. Opposites are very strong in composition. I try to find out what I can. Another version. You see the movement here, but you don't see it here. You know what's going on, but you're not sure what's going on. What's going on is this much movement. If you can see me, it looks like this. That kind of move, real slight. Click, and then it's real quick down, up. And you get a non-photographic look that can pass as a painting, actually. Just real small move can give it that texture without looking too artificial. We know something's going on there. Here we're not quite sure. And I like this technique. It's a little more subtle and a little more like what's going on kind of a thing, Okay. These are mounted, can also be mounted on tripods. Pardon me 1 second. I'm sorry. And my voice is going. Anyway, tripod mounted. You need time to move the camera through the picture space. So at 1 or 2 seconds, I have room. Now, okay, let's go back a second. I'm sorry. It's mounted on the tripod for composition. It's mounted there for support. Tripod head is loose. It's just holding the camera as support. I'm still holding the camera. And then it's like click 1001 or 1001, 1002, that kind of move. But it enables you to really dial your composition in. We want things very separated, very clean. 1 to 2 seconds, you're good here. But the more movement you intend to do, the more time you need. Here we need 2 to 3 seconds because this is the movement here. It's a lot of movement during exposure. So I need more time. Click 1001, 1002, 1003, something like that. So the more movement you do, the more time you need, obviously, to make that move work for you. The Palouse, those who have not been there, and you in Wyoming, you should be there. It's right around the corner from you. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic landscape. It's perfect for swiping. Perfect. Look like ocean waves, just like beautiful lines, prairie things, just fantastic. And I colored this artificially, give it that just more like a color tableau, basically. It's not about being real, like John Shaw says. If I want to see reality, I'll look at it. My favorite quote of John's. But that's how I feel. There's things that should look how they should look, and there's things that are wide open. Same place, different patch of land, little different movement, or you can see it. I'm going across and then down. Going across and then down. You can see it in the movement. So it's not straight, it starts, then it drops. All these movement things are nothing I read. I'm just experimenting. Just try what happens. But the one thing I did learn is that small moves are better than like big, huge movement. Just tight, small moves. When you move the camera, any kind of movement is big, gigantic, because you lose your sharpness. So you want to find the ambient speed where it looks like it's a painting, basically, but there's no like halting in the. It's not too fast. It's got to be smooth throughout. That's about a couple seconds in Cape Cod. About a second again in Cape Cod. A second's really good, And when it's bright like that, at least it is for me. When it's bright like this, you may need a neutral density filter. I've got a whole setup, which we'll discuss during the long exposure portion, that I'll use when it's bright. Put on a very ND or a 5-stop something to be able to move the camera when it's too bright, and that works fine, no problem. Those who want to sell their work to interior designers, they love this kind of work. These very and notice also on this, there's no trees. There's nothing vertical. The entire landscape is horizontal. There's the visual confusion here. And I'm sorry. And these kind of images work somewhat lower, 1624, something like that, as part of a your home decor. That's what sells pictures. They want to complement their living space, and they don't want to see a seal getting taken care of by a bear. They want to see something they can live with. Very subtle colors to complement their decor. And I try to shoot with that in mind. That's a good market. Control your movement. I see people do this and they're moving the camera like this. You can see me. Very, very big movements, And when you do that, the subject, you have to bear in mind what you're subject to be. These become the straight lines out of the frame. Make no sense at all. Everything's vertical. With the camera too much, they just all schmooze together. And, you have no idea what's going on. So control your movement. For something like this, if you watch someone move their camera, who kind of knows what they're doing, you'll barely see it move. The movement on this, the loop can start about here. It's just this much. So it's like click up and down, that much, click just like that. And that'll constrain the elements from going outside the frame and looking wild and unrecognizable. We still know what it is. It's just a little bit abstract. All right, and now trying to think of something else to do here. On this image, I was experimenting, trying crazy stuff back in the old days. There's a motion blur that you can create yourself. On this image here, I basically did this. I got my composition. Of course, I'm hand-holding on this. Got my composition and then move the camera to the side. So this is my composition. I move the camera over to here and then click and then moved it. Click 1 second, get your composition, move it to the side, click 1001. That's simple. You move right to your composition and it's close enough, still tell what it is. There's a motion blur going on. And I love this technique. It just gives you the abstraction you want without a lot of work. It's very easy to do. And a little more crazy here. I guess I had a bottle of wine or something. This is basically, look at the zoom lines. they come off to the side. They're going this way. Okay. Um, what this is basically, it's trying things. Try whatever you can think of, man. Nobody gets hurt after the first 25, 30 grand. Digital is very cheap, you know. Nobody gets hurt here. So you just shoot and just get an idea of what you want. On this, the camera's here. I'm pretty much shooting and zooming as I pull the camera up. Shoot, pull the camera up and zoom. Except, did that for a while and then moved on to something else. What's happening here? Notice the zoom lines. I'm going like click, and as I'm pulling the camera up, I'm just going to the side. So it's click, move this way. But as I'm moving, I'm just zooming. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like click, and then I'm zooming this way. Can you see it? Click, then zooming as I'm moving it out. Whatever you can think of, man. I haven't done this since. I can't figure it out. But it worked on this set of images. So again, period of time.
I don't think so.
And now we're are there any questions at all? I'm talking kind of fast here. Are there any questions at all, guys?
I didn't know if you could just see what's
Yeah. Okay, I'll keep going.
Well, it's the chat.
Okay, another movement thing here. Most of our movement has been two-dimensional. Up, down, lateral, whatever. Little squiggles. They're all two-dimensional. With this, notice the three-dimensionality. Look at the way it swings around the image, like it hugs it. It's got you can see the motion here. It's got movement. It's got action going on. So what's happened? I look from the side. On a big picture, it looks like this. Click, and then you move the camera out and back, out and back. So you're pushing it away from your body, which gives it that three-dimensional look. Now in real life, it looks like this. Click, click, like a little button hook. Click like that. And you get this kind of effect. You need the right subjects for it. These are conical flowers. So when you do that little push out, it kind of wraps around the flower. So you got to pick your right subject also. But again, something else to practice, something to do. It's just fun. It's just creative, you know. I call this a delayed swipe. Okay, why is it called that? If I did a 4-second exposure and just moved for 4 seconds, it would be a patch of color, no detail, no nothing. Be no detail. And I do this technique a lot also to get the best of both worlds, where you 2 to 4 seconds, say it's 4 seconds. Take the shot, click, 1001, 1002, that gets our image. And then 1003, 1004. So the first half gives you your subject, and the second half gives you that blur through the image. So again, click, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
Hi, Larry.
Hi, Shirley. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm in a meeting right now.
All right, for the people talking in the background, please hit mute.
This is the fun part. Come on. Anyway, moving on. Oh yes, panning. Panning is like movement, except you're following your subject, and so the background is what's panned. You get that motion in the background. If you follow your subject, that'll be relatively sharp. It's not meant to be totally sharp. It's a movement image. So panning your subject, and again, half second to 1 second is my benchmark. I kind of start there and see if I need more or less time. Oh, excuse me. Painting cars, so much fun, so much fun. This is in Cuba. One of the things to do there. When we go out at the twilight, the city lights up, whatever lights they have there, but you get some lights at the blue hour. And then again, about a second, you just pan with the subject. Take a bunch of them if you can. Just click, 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 click as you're following it. Take several. And I love stuff like this. You film noir, you know, it's just fun. I love this look, so I try to get it when I can. So right there when it's dark, actually dark, and hand holding about a 4 second exposure, just going crazy with it, you know. And then put a vignette on. When I got it back, it was bright, and I just darkened to give it that film noir kind of look, you know. I just love doing stuff like this. Just crazy. Okay, multiple. How are we doing on time? We're good. Multiple exposures. Okay, that is a function of ridges. Each ridge is an exposure. Exposure, move the camera. Second one, move the camera. Third one, etc. So the moves are very, very small. 10 moves on it, 10 exposures takes up this much time, this much space. It's a lot of movement. If you do it too long, it'll take up all this amount of space and it won't look like anything. So you want to keep your images tight, keep your movements tight when you do this. Very small moves. Again, if you watch someone who knows what they're doing do a 10 image multiple exposure, you barely see the front element move. You barely see it move. It's very, very small, like click, 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 click. Very, very small moves. That way you still keep your image integrity with the special effect. You still know what it is. Here's your raw material. I walk to a scene like this. Okay, we have green, we have red, we have yellow, we have straight lines. We have a lot of stuff going on here. So if I do 10 exposures, and again, watch how the red spreads out here. This is 10 exposures. The red is still there. See it? It's just muted. It's very soft. It just spreads it out. It's a very different look. Now, if I were to process this differently, I probably process this with like a blowing the saturation out, just play around with really saturating it. But that's later. This is an example right here. That's the raw material. But it's the ridges. That's how you know it's a multiple exposure. And they're right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. You see them. Some examples. Smaller moves. Look how tight this is. Imperceptible if someone's watching. You're moving like a fraction of an inch each time. But 10 of those is a lot of movement. So 10 small moves is one big move. So you want to maintain each move to be small, but they're cumulative as you go along. And again, it's a lot of trial and error. Just try everything and see what happens.
Hey, Tony,
Yes, sir.
is this done in camera or is this done in
Yes,
post?
sir. Yes, sir. All done in camera.
Thank you.
If you do not have, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. If your camera cannot do that, shoot it the same way, just 10 single exposures. And then send me an email. I'll send you the software process. Like, it's just too complicated now, but it's easy to do. Just send me an email if your camera cannot do that, and I'll send you the process. It isn't that hard. So Tony@tonysweet.com, and I'll send you the instructions for that. Okay, work in a small area. This is 10 exposures. You still tell what it is. Conical blue flowers, it's poppies, it's all there. Because the movements are all contained in a very small area. All 10 are right here. All 10. That's why you can see these aren't all bleeding over. All the subjects are separated. They just look abstract because the movement is so slight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the size of a nickel. I'm moving within 10 exposures in, maybe a penny, maybe a dime. It's a very small circle that I move in. Flowers found out through experience. 10 exposures is fine for some things. I find that 5 to 6 work really well because it leaves you enough space to see the flower. You'll see later why. So you can see them here. Here's your movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my exposure. How small the moves are. Just very tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very small moves. That way you know they're flowers. It's not too crazy. It says 10. You see them here. But again, look how small the moves are. They got to be very tight to maintain your image so you know what it is. Or it's only an abstract of just color roaming around. There's no form to it. So very small moves. Sir, I'm sorry.
Do you use this off a tripod then when it's that tiny movement?
This may be on a tripod for support. You know, the tripod head is loose. But yeah, for that kind of, I would probably use that on the tripod. Yes, sir. And small random moves. I tend to use gravity on shots like this. What does that mean? It's hard to do when you're holding the weight of the camera. Even mirrorless cameras have lenses, they have some weight to them. You can't control small moves shooting this way. But if you get flowers that are low to the ground, or like this way, you would shoot down with the camera pointing straight down, then use gravity to do your exposures. 1, 2, 3. It's much easier this way. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you keep all of your material in the center. It's not floating way out here. It's just shooting down, letting gravity hold the camera, and you just bounce it around in very small increments. So it stays in the middle, it looks kind of abstract because there's no pattern, but it is all in the middle. And you see your multiple exposure layers right here. Okay. Those with a lens, I can't say lens with a tripod collar. You can loosen that up. Again, this must be tightened up. Have the camera mounted, tight, ready to go. And then loosen the tripod collar. And then you swing the entire camera and lens because you have to. And what happens with a shot like this is just straight 10 exposures. You just shoot, twist, 2, 3, and you don't have to get funny with it. Do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's up to you. This is all sequential, one after another. But the movement is completely up to you. It's got to be bullseye by definition. When you're on a tripod, it's going to be bullseye, which is fine. Okay. This is my favorite technique, or one of them. With the same lens, you need a center, a tripod collar, so the lens and camera are mounted tight, solid. And then you shoot, you twist the camera, you zoom. And you get this effect where it kind of explodes. See where it gets bigger as it goes around, especially up here. That's the zoom part. So you shoot, twist. These are all small moves. Shoot, twist, and zoom. Shoot, twist, and zoom. Shoot, twist, and zoom. Nice mantra. Do it 10 times, and you get something like this. This pinwheel kind of a look. I saw Freeman do this. I was with him years ago. And I said, man, I got to learn that. You know, I'm doing it ever since. Yep. Counterclockwise, clockwise, doesn't matter. Same technique. Shoot, twist, zoom. Shoot, twist, zoom. And don't twist or zoom too much because you run out of space. Let's practice first before you shoot it. Counterclockwise. Notice here that the flower is sharp, relatively sharp in here. Now, why is that? Okay, this might sound crazy, but it's not. I'm hand holding this shot, okay? And there's a grid screen in my camera that puts that intersection right here. Now, when you shoot, twist, and zoom, your center spot changes. So it's got to be handheld. So I shoot, twist, zoom, then reposition back to here, and then shoot, twist, zoom, reposition. So all that movement emanates from somewhere. Just not thrown on there. That's why the center of the hub is sharp, and as things get further and further away, like with a wheel, they get more and more abstract. I hope that makes sense, man. But just shoot, zoom, shoot, twist, zoom, reposition. Start here each time. No matter where you wind up, just put it back and do it again.
Tony, are you manually zooming that, or are you doing it
Yes, ma'am.
automatic, or how are
This
you
is
doing
all-
the zoom?
It's a manual process, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Same idea. But notice here, this is my grid intersection. I do this move a lot because watch where that is. Previous shot. There it is, same place. That's my one of my grid intersections. There's like 9, I think. 1, 6. It's a grid intersection right there. Same place. Whenever I see a lot of color, especially with flowers, in a patch like this, I'll always do something like this. Always do something. Move the camera, do a thing like this, because the color is tremendous. And I want to use it. Okay, long exposures. Sorry here. Okay. Okay, to me, that's greater than 30 seconds. I didn't include the 15-minute shots that I have. They're too long. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I use Stingray since I've known Bob since my first day in the business almost. He's passed away. But Bob was great, generous, just a great human being. Lucky I knew him. And I use all Stingray filters. I hope Bob developed a couple of these years ago. The Soft Ray got my name on it, a little Immortality. It's got my name on it. And we worked on that together right before he died. Anyway, I use all of these filters, believe it or not. Which ones do I use the most? That's the question, right? Sure it is. You will find that the 10 is what most people have. Get the thin filters. And I will probably, if I get like maybe 2 or 3, You need a 10 and a 15. You'll see why. And I'm going to get a 3 on top of that. So I can have a 10, a 13. I want to do that. Just stack them up the configuration. You don't need all these. I just get them because I have a lust for gear. But that's pretty much 10, 15, and the 3. Add to that if you want for an 8 stop, something like that. Anyway, you can go to Stingray. This 15% discount is just for this presentation. It's normally 10%, but it's 15 now if you go on. Just use my name and check them out. They're still the best out there. There are some good ones, but I like their company. Given the fact if one company is, given the fact that if both services are equal, if both companies are equal, I tend to go with the one that's the nicer people and easier to deal with. And Stingray is very easy to deal with. Okay, 2 minutes. Now start noticing the amount of detail in the water. At 2 minutes, there's still you still see some gradation in the water. It's not totally like a piece of slate, which sometimes I like. And compositionally, look at these are gone now. I'm so sorry they're gone. And we had several storms on the East Coast. When it was Superstorm Sandy took all these things out. That's almost gone now. This property here, this seaside area is pretty much gone. But this was just so amazing. If you look at it from left to, like we read, left to right, this is pointing that way, gets connected. This is further leaning, which pulls you more over here. So pulls your eye straight across. It's got a nice configuration. Say it's like here, like a big arrow almost. If you look at that. So everything leads you from left to right, no problem. And each successive element leans more and more to pull your eye. Just a fascinating configuration. And I'm sorry, she's gone. A lot of fun in those days. 8 minutes. There's your water. Zero detail. Zero detail. And what I did on this, just to create a greater sense of mystery, or just, mystery, sure. I did a radial on this part of the image, and just brightened it a hair. And what that did, that removed the horizon line almost. Kind of like sitting in midair almost. That's what I wanted, actually. You get that nebulous look that's you're not quite sure what's going on. And when you have a watercolor like the sky, which it is, the overcast sky, and they're in the same color in the water, you lose your horizon, which gives you a sense of mystery and what's going on and uncertainty. It's got a nice feel to it. But 8 minutes gives us that slate look to the water here. And again, you walk up to this scene and being able to pre-visualize it kind of helps. I'm saying, oh yes, fine, no problem. The water's not too crazy, color in the sky, and so I did 8 minutes. Let me get that. I should process it. Again, I could use more darken the sky a bit, but that's just I'll do that later. The point was to visualize the scene. It's like, oh yeah, that's perfect, and you just meter it, and shoot it, no problem. This is 1 minute. That's what I wanted. If it was too long, the clouds would have been moved. It may have not looked right. I didn't want a lot of cloud movement. I didn't want it streaking too much. So I limited it to 1 minute to control the movement. You control your movement with the shutter speed. And that kept the clouds where they were and gave us some water, but there's some detail, which is fine. But you can tell by the water that's not a real long exposure. Didn't need that there. Those who like Bandon Beach, it's one of my favorite spots. And my ashes dumped off at Bandon Beach. I love that place. That whole part of Oregon is phenomenal. And a pretty rough ocean day. Pretty rough, but not at 4 minutes. All that whitewash you see just turns into the beautiful white streaks. Everything's just no detail at all. Blank sky, not good. To me, with infrared, the mother's milk of infrared is clouds. You want clouds if you can get them. If you can't, I just darken the sky with the grad. Do something to it. Pull the eye back then to the image. Piers are fantastic. Whether they're on like a lake or wherever, they're just great subject. This is the Atlantic Ocean. 8 minutes. Look at the water. The cool thing about check this out, you start seeing things that are invisible, normally. If the water is moving back and forth, you don't see these lights, do you? They're kind of bouncing around too, so you see them, but they don't look like that. The long exposure for 8 minutes tames all that down, and then you see your spotlights, real flat, like the water isn't moving at all. When the water is moving, you don't see those. Different day, 4 minutes, 8 minutes here, 4 minutes here. See more detail in the water. Different day, different process, etc. This pier is gone now. It's been replaced by a quote unquote modern version. I like this better, of course. And composition. Notice what's going on here at the edge. I'm a big edge guy. The edges are huge. Not too close. We have spacing, no merging. Try to keep these things as separate as possible for as long as possible. They get a little bunched up down here. So anyway, spacing and being able to look at the subject visually, literally. So there's space. There's nothing all bunched up. Just things that I look for simplicity with the image. Another favorite pier, the Avalon Pier in Ocean City. Avalon, New Jersey, Jersey Shore. A couple of minutes, tell by the soft thing here. Very high key. I processed to be very high key. Whites pushed way up, blacks pushed way down. High contrast scene. And again, separation. To space, 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 and an odd number, which has nothing to do with. I just kind of saw it there. But yeah, and then again, same pier, different morning. The sun is very bright here, so I moved to the edge of the frame to get just a small part, but not a big hot spot. Sun's over to the left somewhere, and my cursor's gone anyway. Yeah, and again, this is like 4 minutes. Water smooths out, but not totally. See, there's still things going on. Where my cursor went. Hang on a second. God darn it. Give me a second. Little problem here. My cursor's gone. Excuse me. Hope I didn't lose you. Did I lose you? I don't think so. You guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
All right, thank you. Give me a second. I don't know what happened. Give me a second here. I gotta go back. Okay, there we go. Phew. I'm sweating. Hang on. I know. It's crazy. Anyway. So yeah, that's what we're talking about here is long exposure and putting the hot spot off the scene, And again, we have 5. Pay attention to your separation here. Same idea. And again, get things as open as possible. Don't merge the edge. As open as possible.
Hey, Tony, we had a quick question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, please.
So just on this photo, like, what ND filter did you use to get 4 minutes?
Oh, probably a 15.
Okay.
Well, I've got 12, 13. It's probably 12, 13 or 15. I'm not sure which exactly. But yeah, somewhere up there. It's over 10. That's for sure. To get that kind of exposure and that kind of light, you need like 10, 12, 13, 15 stops of exposure. God darn it. There we go. Yeah, lesson learned here. I didn't realize how flexible the exposures were in long exposures. This metered out at 4 minutes. That's fine. What I wanted to do was to get a sun star as it broke past the piling here, right? We got that. But it occurred at 2 minutes. So not that's the end of the world here, but I'm thinking, okay, 2 minutes. If I continue, I'm going to have a big hot spot out here. Big hot spot. But if I stop, I'll get the sun star, but I don't know what else I'll get. I had to stop, stopped in 2 minutes, looked at it. Silhouette's fine, brighten the sky a bit, and we got the sun star. So I realized that there's a lot of flexibility in long exposures, a lot of flexibility. It's metered out at 4. I got what I wanted at 2. So don't get married to like, it's got to be this time. You have a lot of flexibility in long exposure time. Oh yeah, these are great. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, just watch the like at the bottom of like any kind of like little waterfall or they're coming down. It's sort of embankment or a hill or something. At the bottom of that, more times than not, if you watch closely, the water will hit something and starts moving around. If you just watch one leaf for a second, you might see it bounce around, a little whirlpool, just 1 or 2 leaves. But that's what's happening. And then when you do what I try to do, just put in like 20 red leaves. You can add stuff, make your own pictures, add a bunch more leaves, and then record the image. That's what happened here. Just added more color to it. Nothing wrong with that.
So Tony, we had another question.
Yes, sir.
Long exposures, what aperture are you usually using? Is it very wide, very fast or slow apertures?
Oh, that'll be stopped down. You will definitely help the process. So F14 most of the time, not too stopped down for because things get unsharp the more you stop down sometimes. F14 is a good aperture, the Nikon camera. I'm pretty much there. 16 once in a while, but in general, 14 to 16. And then you use the ND to get more time. There's no problem with that. It's 2 minutes. This is true fall color in New Hampshire. We'll be up there. I can't wait in October. A little group up there. And this is one of our big projects. The conditions got to be perfect. Blue sky, no clouds, mid-morning, and you get this for hours. Because the sun does not go down over your head. It goes laterally, like in Iceland. Keep moving down the stream, and this color just goes on for hours, 2 or 3 hours. It's a great spot. I didn't get that, sir. One more time, please. Is there a comment there?
Maybe in somebody coughing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, 30 seconds. I wanted more detail. When you do shorter water exposures, you pick up more color. When they're long, all the color blends together. It's a different feeling. I can't go back. God darn it. But shorter exposures give you more, you get the softness, but you get more color because it's stopping rather than blending everything together. So color is your subject. You may want to do a little shorter. 30 seconds is still a long exposure. It's not minutes, but that's 4 minutes. And notice here, when you shoot that long, anything sticking above the water is like razor sharp. And anything not is like soft. It gives you a great juxtaposition of like it is sharp and soft. And it kind of pulls your eye through very nicely. You just hop along these rocks, It's a nice visual pathway through the image. But again, long exposures accentuate things that are sharp in your image. Just because it's relatively, the difference is, what's hard to explain, but that's why. Can't quite put it into words there. 30 seconds, a straight shot. I want to get these bear claws here. That's what they're called. And 30 seconds is fine. One of our favorite spots in the Smokies. Just enough. Infrared. I do a lot of IR. I love infrared. And I do long exposures with that. No problem. 2 minutes. I love this coast of Maine, Acadia. It's called Boulder Beach. They're not kidding. These are huge. They're also called ankle busters. We call these rocks ankle busters. There's a reason for that. You got to crawl down there almost, or walk very low. And then use the radial filter, by the way. Radial filter. Just right in here to brighten that up a little bit. You don't use that messing around with the radial filter. It's critical, in my opinion. Use of negative space is great with long exposures. Just great. Sir. Yes, please. Oh, nothing? Okay, sorry. Yeah, the blind sky here is like always a problem. But I can't say always because I like it on shots like this. Get the early morning, very early morning light here. It's very soft, subtle. And the water's like very smooth and it gives you the line is like razor sharp through here. Just delineates the sky and the water perfectly, and there's no detail anywhere except a little look at the pier. Just a little bit. Show you what it is. And then we'll go on. Oh yeah, yeah. With long exposures like this, anything that moves behind a solid subject like a tree will give you a sense of a shallow depth of field. See the separation as the clouds move, they separate more from the sharp tree. Gives you a sense of gives you more a sense of depth, brings the tree into sharper focus because the background is relatively out of focus because the clouds are moving.
Oh. Oh.
Everything okay out there? Okay, we're gonna go on. Look at the water, how smooth that is. When you do that, that horizon line is razor sharp. It's razor sharp, cuts the frame perfectly. And then go over to here. Yeah, a little earlier in the morning, 2 minutes to get the exposure. And added some magenta to cool it down. I like things cooler. Added some magenta to it. And again, it's just smooth. And here's where the ocean and the sky, you can't tell the difference. You can't tell where one begins and the other one starts. I like that idea a lot. It gives you a very nebulous, mysterious feel to your image. You can't tell where the sky begins, you know. Okay, some news you can use here. This is 2 minutes in the ocean, tripod in the ocean, water is moving. Tripod should move long exposure, but the tripod feet will sink. We all know that. You know it. I know it. We all know it. But how do we stop it? How do we stop it? You go here, get these Manfrotto 230 all-weather tripod shoes. They're made for snow. You probably know that already. They also work in water. They're platelets. They're plates like this. Go in the bottom of your tripod leg, and then you put them very gently in the water and then push down. That plate, all three of those will not sink. So for 2 minutes with water rolling in and out, it's razor sharp. No problem. The tripod didn't move. You could feel the water through the tripod. You can feel it through the tripod legs, but it's not moving. It's rock solid. And get 2 of these. 2 sets are like $25 a piece. I mean, for each set of 3. Get 2 of them, because I promise you, you will. The ocean will reclaim at least one of them during your time using them. I guarantee it. And we have framing here and nice balance throughout the frame, just right across. And yeah, 4 minutes. I love this scene in Tennessee. After a storm, these potholes have rocks deposited. The water is higher than what you see. It goes above the rocks. And when it rains, it just deposits stuff in this pothole. So you have some really sharp detail against the very soft look of the water. The rocks are all razor sharp, and the water is very soft. Give you that dichotomy of like very sharp and very soft in the same image, which I kind of like. Oh yeah, back to Acadia again. It's called Boulder Beach. It's like 4 minutes. It looks like fog, but the ocean's barely moving. So it's like slowly rolling in and slowly rolling out for like 4 minutes. And it looks like fog. It's like mist. Which is very low level water moving back and forth for a period of time. It creates a feeling. Different day, different feeling, everything. Water's lower. Probably the same exposure time, right? Probably a minute. Yeah, 2 minutes exactly. Tip of the cloud movement. Yeah, about 2. It's soft enough. But again, just waiting for things to happen and just pulling it. Probably the 10 stop in this case. Okay, this is called Cape Nettic Noble Point in Maine, one of our favorite lighthouses, because what's cool about this is that there's a sunset that goes down. The very last light that strikes this lighthouse, the sun hits the island and leaves the foreground in the shade, which gives us, without a filter, which gives us shade light is blue light. I want that. So it's unfiltered. I want the blue light to show up down here. So no filter. Like shooting film with no filter gives you blue light in this kind of condition. So, and that's I think 4 minutes again. Yeah. Just set up and wait. Wait for your light. A little different here. It's 2 minutes. There was a lot of cloud movement. So in 2 minutes, we got a lot of movement. They were rolling pretty good. If I did too long, they would probably vanish. But just long enough to stop them where you need to get some movement. No need to be extreme. A little movement will go a long way. And a move I learned from Michael Levin and a lot of other great black and white photographers that I admire. They're making their water white these days when they can. And I love that look. Michael Levin, another one of my favorite black and white artists, Cole Thompson, these guys, they're great. They're great. And I watch what they do. and I like it most of the time. So I like the pushing the water way up. That's that milky look, These are abstracts, man. Infrared with long exposures, just an abstract. A long exposure is an abstract. We don't see this. We see it after the process, but we don't see it with the naked eye. We don't see it. It's what we capture. That's what this is. So it's pretty cool. Arnastapi arch, my favorite arch in Iceland. I love this thing. Look at the water like milk, very bright. Separation. I hid some of these little rock things behind here to separate them. There's a lot more rocks behind that, but I moved to position myself to hide them, to block them off. For simplicity. Very clean, very simple. Coast to Cape May, very easy. Sunrise shot, sorry. 8 minutes. Look at the water. No detail, like a piece of slate. You get around 4 to 8 minutes. That's how the water thinks it look like that they get. There's no detail. It's just like a piece of slate. But we're still composing an image. So here we have a diagonal line from left to right. That's our composition. Goes from edge to edge, fills the frame with the subject, and we lighten the water and darken the sky. We did the exact opposite of what people teach you to do. You want the foreground, you want the sky darker, brighter than the foreground. That's how we see stuff. That's natural. If I want reality, I'll look at it. I like reversing things, darker sky, really bright water, and try that. It's all about personal expression, folks. What it's all about, And let's see here what's going on. Oh, yeah, another 8 minutes here. This took time. Took a lot of time because I had to select precisely. It's not easy. This pair precisely. And okay, one more trick here while we're still with time. We're good. One more trick here. Okay, notice the sky here. Okay, if we're in say camera roll, and we pick the radial filter. Say I want to make the sky like this. If I do a radial and say darken the outside, the entire image gets darker, doesn't it? The entire thing gets darker. I don't want that. The software window tells you what the software sees. Okay, it thinks you want to affect the whole thing. I selected the sky with marching ants around it. That tells the software, I'm going to just deal with this. And then the window came up. All we saw was this. I built a radial in here, darkened the outside, brightened the inside, and I left the foreground unaffected because it wasn't selected. Hope that makes sense. Whatever you select shows up in your software window. The software assumes that you want to process the entire image. When you make a selection, you're telling the software, no. I want to deal with this only. And the part you select will show up in your software window. Excuse me. Jeez. This is on Madeline Island in Lake Superior. Great natural sculpture. Look at this. The work of art almost. 8 minutes, no detail in the water. Like a piece of slate. It's amazing. Just feels tremendous. Even cityscapes. I love doing this. New York at 12 noon. 10 stop, 2 minute exposure. So one of your filters, if you don't have one, should be the 10 stop should be the first one you buy, and then add or augment that as you go. That's your most frequently used filter, in my opinion. At least it is for me. 4 minutes, look at the water. Just so smooth. And the keeper's house and Artist Stop, just tremendous. Look at this. I'm standing here. I can't believe it. It's a tremendous subject, man. Just tremendous. Sorry, losing my voice here, but hang on. I'm going to try to hang in there. Check this out. 10 a.m. Look how bright it is. 8 minutes with a 15 stop ND. Low ISO, small aperture on a great camera, which I've sold since the 810. It's a great series. But look at that. We don't see stuff like that in midday. We can't. And you need more than 10 stop to get a long exposure, that long to get this look. So yeah. Bright daylight, you want to get a 15 stop. And watch your camera settings. Don't be at an ISO like 1,000. Low ISO, 14th good enough. That should cover this whole spectrum for sharpness. But the main thing is just how to meter it, which we'll go into in a second. It's not that hard. 1 minute here. As the rainbow moved through the sky, it got bigger. It's just water. As it blows across the sky, it gets thicker. So it's kind of a nice fringe benefit. That wasn't that large with a single shot, but it's moving during the minute, and it just got larger. One of my favorite spots in Iceland. Oh yeah, 1 minute. I didn't want to go longer because I'm not sure how long this would last. So I did like 1 minute exposures, 3 or 4, then it was gone. This is also gone. I haven't been there. Ruby Beach, I believe it is. To the Olympic. About a third of this sea stack fell about 5 years ago. Shoot it when you see it. And final thought. Yeah, okay, I'll be doing it on time. That's not bad. Doing all right. Final thought. Excuse me. My favorite final thought. Imagination, probably know this quote by now, is more important than knowledge. If you don't know this quote, it's by an old Swiss patent clerk. You may have heard his name. Yeah. Yeah, good quote, isn't it? If he says that, I believe it. And some books. This is on my website. It's a digital, it's an ebook. And that's a hard copy that's available on Amazon or from us. You get a signed copy from us, same price, And it's a thank you. And this is what I do here. We have some workshops coming up. Please check those out if you have nothing to do. A lot of them this fall. We do creative seminars online or in person. And of course, what this was, a presentation. We're doing more and more private instruction. That's getting more popular these days. So more and more private clients with the friends have their own groups, and some personal mentoring. We have a whole thing for that. And we sell prints. Here's my info. So that's everything. So I'm going to get out of this to come back and talk to you guys. How do I get out of here? Yeah, hold on. I want to figure this out. Okay, I want this out of here. And I want Zoom. It's so complicated. I need a system for this. Yeah, I can't find anybody.
Yeah, if you get the Zoom back up and stop the share, so.
Do that first. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's that. Where's my share here? Well, it's not here. I'm sorry, guys.
Go back to the Zoom button at the bottom, I think. Or there you go.
Where am I at?
If you pull that up, you should be able to see a stop share button at some point. Not that, but
That's the mailbox. Let me get out of this here. Let me hide that. Well, I can't. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
This is my keynote presentation. That's not Zoom. God
Yeah.
darn it. I'm doing this all day practicing. Now we're here.
Yeah,
Why can't-
Yeah. You should be at No, you had it for a second there. Go
I
back to the
did?
bottom of your.
I
Just
did have it? Okay, hold on. Okay,
go
that's
back
fine.
to. Oh. I'm sorry.
Is this it here? You getting
No,
excited? No, all right. I can probably just quit Zoom and just, well, no, then I'll lose you. God darn it. Back to meeting. Back to meeting. Does that do anything?
yeah, I unfortunately can't stop your share.
God darn it, man. I don't know what's happening here. We're here, right? And then I escape and I should get a window up here. I'm not, because I'm not in Zoom. How about
Yeah.
Zoom? How about that? No, sir. More. I don't understand what's happening here. I'm so sorry. This is
Yeah,
Keynote.
that's me doing that.
That's Keynote. This is Zoom. I apologize, folks. That's something else. This is Zoom. Now, why in the heck can I? Don't need that. Any Zoom experts out there? It's worked fine all day today. So I don't know what's going on here.
Just. Wow.
I know it's a mystery.
Put your cursor on your. Can you see your own image there? This is just a guess, but. Yeah, I mean, just touch your own image. Can you see yourself? No.
No, I can't. Let me do this. It says that I'm hidden. That's you. There we go. That's me. All right, now what? Oh, darn, there I am.
Well, I was just hoping it would pull up the.
Okay, hold on. It
Just
should, when I press escape, it should show up. You know, I've been doing it all day. I am so sorry. If I, well, but then I'll lose you guys. Well, I got you now. So,
yeah, I mean, we can somewhat see you there. Hang on a
yeah, I
second.
can see you guys. So, let me just, I don't know. No, if I do that.
We'll pull everybody else up. How's that?
That's fine. If you guys have any questions? There's
Yeah.
the big window
So
there.
I have a quick question. So when
Okay,
you're doing
yes,
these long exposures,
yes, sir.
are you getting any color shifts or anything like that you have to compensate for, or do you care?
Not with filters that are designed to avoid that. The earlier Stingrays had a horrible color cast, and Bob fixed it. I'm not sure the current. I'm not going to badmouth things I haven't used in a while. There was a time when certain filters had a bad color cast. I think a lot of them are better now, but I know that Stingray's got zero color cast on most filters. The ones that are heavy, 20 stop, 16, you might get a little, but that's all fixable. So the answer is they're getting better at it. The ones that I have no color cast. Except for the 20 and the small casts, no problem. But the normal ones, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, 12, 13. 12 is a good one to get in general. There's no cast. So that's been corrected for the most part.
And then for determining your exposures, is there any technique there? Or is it all just trial and error?
Oh no, you don't want to waste your time doing that. There's a science to it. A couple things. What you want to do is take a properly exposed image of your scene. Step 1. Okay. Step 2. Take note of it. It's a quarter second. It's a quarter second. Okay. So you start there. Then we'll use our fingers. Quarter second. These are stops. Half second, 1 second, 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 8 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. A 10 stop will give you 4 minutes and whatever, a quarter second. So you can do that. If you don't want to do that, you pick up an app called ND exposure, as a neutral density exposure. And it just has 2 columns. A lot of those apps are overwritten. All you need is your shutter speed. That's it. ISO is irrelevant. Aperture is irrelevant. Just shutter speed. You dial in a quarter second, and then you run down the second column. You just run through the shutter speeds or the neutral density. And then that'll give you the time next to it. So put the shutter speed in, run through the ND settings, then the time occurs next to it. Then you'll see what 4 minutes, 2 minutes, you pick that ND. That's the easiest way. For me, I use my fingers, been doing it for years. If you know your apertures and f-stops, it's easy. But that's get the app. You know, it isn't that hard. Once you do it a few times, it'll be easy. Believe me. Anything else, guys? Anything?
Any-
Does he have a problem with stuff moving?
okay.
Like with the sailboats?
Oh, so we had a question about things moving like in the sailboat picture.
Yeah, they're moving. They're moving. It's just minutes. But the water isn't that also it's also irrelevant to me, you know what they are. They're going to be moving. I know it, you know it. Water moves. That's what happens. They're moving a little. And you can, with the latest sharpening software, sharpen them a bit, which I've done. How sharp's it got to be? And to get the point across. It's just boats in the water, and the water's like white, long exposure. It's about more than a boat. The boats are just like there as supporting material. It's about the water and the pier and the feel of it, But of course, boats over water, they're going to move, believe me.
Tony, this is Barney. I got a question for you. Actually,
Hey,
two
Barney.
questions. One is, what's your favorite IR wavelength cutoff to shoot with? That's one. And secondly, when you're shooting at that wavelength, do you use special IR modified filters, or you still use your Stingray neutral density filters?
Okay, going from the back of that, there's no need for modified filters anymore. There was a time when Stingray could not handle that, and it got Kalari vision, and it's okay now. There was a time, but it's okay now. I wouldn't worry about that at all. Just get good quality filters. If you talk to the company person who works, just ask them that question. It's their filters, and they're not all created equal. But I think all the Stingrays they cover that fine. If you buy an off-brand, like a different one than Stingray, I don't know how they work or what they do. Just call the company and ask. They're honest. Why wouldn't they tell you the truth? Oh, and as far as what nanometers, I'm primarily a 720 guy. I like the organic feel of that high contrast black and white and infrared. But recently, I've got into a little color IR, which is kind of cool. It's on my Facebook page, whatever. But I've got what's called an IR chrome filter, which does not need channel swapping. Pretty nice. And I've got 720. I don't swap that. But the rest of them, the 665, which is a great filter for adding color, 665. You channel swap that, it's pretty much good to go out of the box. But that's pretty much, so the IR Chrome just gives you a different spectrum without channel swapping. More traditionally, 665 is my favorite non-720 filter, for adding color. But I don't have a lot of filters. I've found in my experience that the more stuff you carry, the less you shoot. So I try to keep things to a minimum, just know what I have there and not be fishing around for things to try. I'm running out of time to try stuff. Clock's running, man. You can't waste time going through stuff all the time.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything else, guys? You guys still awake?
Any questions here in the auditorium? We didn't have your hand movement things at the very start. We didn't have you highlighted. Could you go back to those first few slides and just show us? That way we'll have you here on camera. I mean, or in the.
I remember that now. If I can find everything.
Yeah, of course you'd have to get your.
Be patient. Can you see the screen with the stuff? Can you see? Hang on.
Okay, hang on.
That pad doesn't work anymore. God darn it, man.
Yeah.
Right, hang on
Okay.
a second. Got a little malfunction here. I can't scroll.
Oops.
When's it going to end? I can't scroll. I can't scroll to the top. I am so sorry, man. Nothing moved. My arrow keys are blocked.
Maybe just a quick, well,
Oh, you know what? Let's try this. Hang on a second. I want to get this for you guys. Let's go into here. What if I say light table? Okay, here's the pictures. Now, which ones do we want to? Can I go back? I still can't go back.
huh.
I'll tell you what I'll do, I'm going to fix this darn problem here. I don't know what's going on with this computer. But I'll go through the first few, make a short little movie and send it to you. That sounds like a plan. That's all that I can do right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But I will do that. But I will do that. I picked the ones I think you're talking about, the first 5 or 10, and just run through those and make a video and send it to you because I can't get there right now.
That's okay. Any other questions?
Does he stack ND filters?
Oh, yeah, I guess the question was, do you stack ND filters?
You don't want to stack too many. I tend to, okay, you can stack them. I tried to avoid stacking because you get vignetting on wide angle lenses. You know, when you get that, shoot more than you intend to use. So when you crop, you don't lose anything. That's the only way to protect that. If you see your filters vignette, just shoot more of the scene. And when you crop it down, you won't lose any material. Excuse me. God darn it. That question was what again? I'm sorry. What's the question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, about
Oh,
stacking.
stacking. Yeah, I try to avoid that, but you can. Just get the filters that are thin. THIN, the thin mounts. The caveat to that is that the thin mounts can stick. So make sure when you screw them on, you only have a few threads. Be very careful that they don't cross. Can't get them uncrossed, but just very carefully screw those in and don't screw them tight. They can be on there and not be really tight to work. But that's the only caveat just with wide angle lenses. I mean, if you can stack them, sure. Absolutely. But get the thin mounts. Be careful when you operate those.
Tony,
Yes, ma'am.
just wondering, your work is just beautiful.
Oh,
So
thank you so much.
couldn't log on and for a half hour, so I'm afraid I missed the first part of your
Well,
presentation, but your work is just beautiful. I'm just
thank you.
wondering, have
I'm
can you
sorry.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Have you done any work with a cell phone capturing the slow shutter? And
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great.
Do you do it through the live on the iPhone, shooting live?
No, I do it through Lightroom. They've got a long exposure set on there. I forget where it is, but there's a series of light options, automatic, long exposure, things like that. And you pick, it's right there.
Oh, on when you're shooting the Lightroom through Lightroom?
Yes, ma'am. If I can find my phone. If I can find it here. Yeah, it's built in. Let me see. Where's okay, Lightroom camera. And where are we at here? I'm so sorry. I can't find anything today, but it's in the light. It's a Lightroom camera option that allows you to. You can find it online, I'm sure, to dial in a long exposure and just hold it still as you can. If you have a tripod, use that for long exposures for sure. But you can handhold up to a certain point, and you will get a long exposure because of the algorithms in the phone. But the Lightroom camera and the iPhone camera, it's in there also.
In the iPhone?
I'm sorry, the iPhone camera. See if I can find it there. I don't know where anything is, man. I'm sorry. but it's in there.
You don't have to use shooting in live to get that long exposure?
I think so. Yeah, I forgot where it was, but yeah, it's in there. I'm so sorry, I'm not prepared for the iPhone thing, but yeah, it's there and in the Lightroom camera. You can just say long exposure and just dial in up to 9 seconds, I believe.
Oh, wow, that's great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I can be more helpful. Anything else there, guys?
Anything from the Zoom crowd? I don't think we have any more questions here in the auditorium, but yeah, great presentation. I thought extremely creative. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. And like I said, I'll go through this first half a dozen images to see what I put together for you and send it to you, David. I'll send it to you.
Okay, that sounds great.
Give me
Just
that
wanted to
day.
say thank you so much. That was great. Tony
Oh.
and David, thank you for letting the camera club share with that too. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank
It's
you.
my pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate being
Yeah.
invited. Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions later, just shoot them to me or you can shoot them
Yeah,
directly.
just
to
fire
Tony.
them off
Yeah.
to me. Fire them off to me, no problem. Also, if you have a question later, just send it to Dave or send it to me, and we'll take care of it.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's
Thank
probably
you all
getting
very
it late on the East Coast there. So, all right.
Yeah, it's time for my bourbon.
All right. We'll let you go. I'll be in contact with you. So,
Thank you, David. Thank you all
all
very
right.
much.
Thanks.
Appreciate everything. Thank you.